Hey, Washington football fam. Today, I want to talk about Brandon Scherff, his possible future in Washington, and why his trade value is a lot higher than you think. Spoiler alert, Washington fam. All signs point to this ending with Brandon leaving Washington. He was reportedly offered a contract that would have made him the highest paid guard in NFL history. He declined. He's been franchise tagged now for his second year. I think the smartest thing the team can do is look for the best compensation and trade possible and move on. Now, a lot of people will argue that a guard doesn't have value on a franchise tag. Some people have even said nobody wants our trash. I think that's a crazy statement when we're talking about a guard the caliber of Brandon Scherff. Now, just looking at Brandon's profile as far as value goes, he's a 4-time Pro Bowler coming off an All-Pro season. He was the 5th overall pick in his draft. That's special generational talent type stuff. Guards don't get taken that early unless they're special. Now, he's had some injuries that have held him back, but he was fairly healthy enough to have an All-Pro season this season. And as far as monetary value goes, Thuney took a sweetheart deal at $15 million a year to play for a Super Bowl contender. So Brandon's money isn't as much issue as people think on the tag. He's worth it. Now, the difference a guard can make is pretty big. When it comes to protecting a quarterback, everybody kind of puts it, it's the left tackle that does that. And I know Brandon has, the injury concerns that I already mentioned, but people bring his age up as like it's supposed to be something bad. He's 29 years old. He's on the right side of 30. There's a lot of guards that don't, or offensive linemen in general, that don't blossom until they're 30. Like Richie Incognito didn't start making Pro Bowls until he was 30. I think he could be in his prime right now. And the difference a guard can make is huge. Like you had Anthony Costanzo for the Colts, who for 5 years kind of looked like trash. And then they got Quentin Nelson, and suddenly Anthony Costanzo looks like a Pro Bowler. So a great guard can make your tackle look pretty great too. Now, his value's also boosted because there's an influx of rookie quarterbacks and young quarterbacks in the NFL. There's going to be some important ones come in this year. Now, you don't want... Last year, Joe Burrow, Bengals had a big scare with Joe Burrow, season-ending injury. You don't want that to happen to the most important piece of your franchise. You don't want them to end up like David Carr or Andrew Luck or Sam Bradford or even Josh Rosen. Now, most of those guys, because of bad offensive line play, were physically ruined. Whereas Josh Rosen was just beaten down by the horrible situation in Arizona and cast off. There are teams that are going to be bringing in rookie quarterbacks that could greatly benefit from Brandon coming in and solidifying their line. There are teams that have some guys in place that he could boost the play of. And honestly, this is where Martin Mayhew would come in. Like, we got him. He's supposed to be this trade wizard. Well, Martin Mayhew, go out there and sell it to these guys. Like, hey, you got a franchise quarterback coming in. You got this guy in peace. Hey, if you put Brandon next to him, then it's smooth sailing, buddy. And if you don't, hey, I hope he doesn't end up like David Carr. Good luck. But here are a couple teams I think will be perfect to who could possibly chomping at the bit to get a hold of Brandon. Now, the first team I think that could be a possible trade partner or interested party in Brandon Scherff are the New York Jets, who, I mean, by all accounts and speculation, are going to be bringing in Zach Wilson in the draft. Now, they already have Mekhi Becton at tackle that they just drafted in 2019. He's got a lot of promise, but he hasn't been enough. He wasn't enough to protect Sam Darnold and keep him from seeing ghosts. So when you're investing so much in Zach Wilson, you want to give him the best opportunity possible to succeed. New coaching staff, new quarterback. Now, they have tons of draft capital, and they have all the salary cap they need. Now, the question that they have to ask themselves is, do you want to take a player later in the first or in the second to develop at the same time as Zach Wilson at the NFL level to try to protect him? Or do you want to spend some of that capital on a sure thing, generational, Pro Bowl caliber, all pro talent to ensure that your quarterback's safe, to boost the play of your already developing tackle? I think the Jets, the answer could be yes. And just, compensation on the high side, they have pick 23 in the first round. That would be ideal. That would be crazy awesome. Don't know if that's possible, but I think it would be worth it for both parties. For them to get somebody that can protect their quarterback that they know can. And for us, it would be great to replace, 5th overall pick with at least a 23rd pick. They also have the 34th pick, which is the second pick in the second round, which is great. It could help us, land a franchise quarterback like Kellen Mond. But they also have a player that they just signed, I believe 2 years ago, that they're possibly looking to move on from, in CJ Mosley, who's in a position that we need. So, possibly trading Brandon for CJ and maybe a third. Because, while Brandon does have injury concerns, CJ hasn't played a game in like 2 years. But I'd be willing to take him in the third round for Brandon. Because at the very least, if CJ doesn't work out, then we get what we're going to get for Brandon anyway. I mean, maybe ideally, since Mayhew's such a wizard, he gets the second and Mosley. But anyway, I just think that they would be a good trade partner. We've also got the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, they spent pretty big to land Andrew Norwell, but they haven't been happy with the results. They got a new coach coming in, and they're going to get possibly the most important player they've ever got in franchise history. They're going to get the number one overall pick. They're going to take Trevor Lawrence as their franchise quarterback. Now, they're at least in a good spot. That yes, they already have Norwell, and they've spent some high draft capital in recent years, and they've got Cam Robinson and Jawan Taylor. But they haven't worked out yet. They're still developing. They haven't developed as fast as they would like them. And Norwell hasn't been enough to help them. Now, they can move on from Norwell and take Brandon, or they could keep him. They have plenty of cap that they could actually probably have both of them, because they're trying to restructure Norwell, pay him less, pay Brandon more. And Brandon definitely has the talent where he could be the Quentin Nelson to elevate one of these guards. I mean, one of these tackles, either Jawan Taylor or Cam Robinson, to really help them reach their potential. And then with a situation like that, where Robinson's elevated, Taylor's elevated by Brandon's presence, it's easier for Norwell than Trevor Lawrence and Urban Meyer just make a smooth transition to the NFL where they can just keep being successful. And I mean, that sounds all great for them, but they also have plenty of draft capital to make it worth it for us. They've got, in addition to the first overall pick, they've got the 25th pick in the first round, which, like I said, with the 23rd, hey, that would be amazing. They've got the 33rd, which is the first pick in the second round. Again, awesome compensation. That would be great. They have the 45th in the second round. Then they have the 65th, which is, I believe, the first pick in the third round. In addition to Brandon Scherff possibly being a player they'd look to trade for, they're also looking for a box safety. Now, we have Landon Collins too. So we could ship Brandon and Landon to the Jags for 25 and 65. 25 and 65. Or 33 and 45. Something like that. Brandon boosts Landon's value a little bit. And instead of them going into the draft, sure, they're going to get younger players in the draft, but they're also developmental. What this does is gives them the ability to have a quicker rebuild, a faster turnaround. You throw 2 Pro Bowl caliber players into there, and they turn right around, and Urban Meyer gets to look like a genius when he transfers to the NFL and goes straight to a championship game or something. Trevor Lawrence, gets to have as great a team around him as he did in Clemson. It's just, it makes a lot of sense. It'd be, like I said, great for both of us. And then the last team that I kind of want to look at is a team that should already understand how bad the need is. And the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, they had that big scare with Joe Burrow's getting his leg wrecked last season. Was that by us? Actually, I think. But I mean, they don't want that to happen again. I mean, that's terrifying. You know, you got your first overall pick franchise quarterback. You know, going down. That's never good. So they're in a spot where they could take like another generational offensive lineman in the draft with Penei Sewell or Rashawn Slater, however you see it. They're in a position they could do that. But at the same time, their quarterback is banging the drum for his buddy. Like, he wants Chase. Like, he wants his wide receiver. And you don't want to upset your quarterback, especially nowadays in the NFL. You don't want to upset your quarterback. And they already have Jonah Williams there, who hasn't quite hit his potential yet, but he's like the number 10th pick, I think, in the draft. And so they have a high quality tackle there that could again be boosted by Scherff. Now, as far as draft capital goes, they don't have as much as the other two teams I've mentioned. They've got the pick 38 in the second round, which, you know, is something nice. But they have a couple players that would be, you know, welcome to us. I mean, it's easy for them, you know, like the second rounder and Tyler Boyd. Because once you get Jamar Chase, you've already got T. Higgins. Would you rather have a wide receiver 3 or a guy that's going to keep your quarterback upright to throw to the rest of your wide receiver? And then, you know, big shot in the dark, best case for us, Jesse Bates, their safety. It's like, hey, what's more important? You know, keeping your franchise quarterback safe or a top tier safety? A top tier safety really helps us out, but they are building a team with an offensive identity. So, hey, let us get Jesse Bates. We'll send you Brandon Scherff. You know, and we'll call it square. Now, I don't really see that happening, but it's just a situation I thought would be awesome. I mean, maybe it's worth it to them. I don't know. I don't know how they value that kind of thing. I just know that an offensive guard is definitely more important than wide receiver 3. And I think all these teams should be taking a good long look at this. And I think that a lot of us are really, really underselling the value that a player the caliber of Brandon Scherff has in the NFL. And I think if we don't take advantage of this value and just let him walk for free, then I don't know what has changed since we got rid of Bruce Allen. Like, that would be epically disappointing. Like, we trust in Ron, but if you start letting things happen that are as dumb as something that Bruce would have done, then, like, I gotta at least hear they're trying to do this. I mean, Martin Mayhew is supposed to be this trade wizard. We should be able to get Tyler Boyd, Jesse Bates, and that second round pick from them if he's that good, you know? So, well, that's all I got for you. Thanks for listening. Like, comment, share, subscribe. I love you guys. Peace.